Sometimes you do the right thing and still get burned. Maybe you help your whole family, only to be called ungrateful. Or you save your best friend's girlfriend's job and get rewarded with side eyes and silence. In today's video, you'll hear 6 true stories where kind people were pushed to the edge and finally chose to stand up. Not with soft words, but with harsh truths, perfectly timed sarcasm, and sometimes with a spiritual slap the other person will never forget. Get ready, because sometimes you'll see yourself in their stories. Story 1. I refused to share my inherited house with my dad's other family, and I don't regret a thing. I'm 24 years old, and 3 months ago, my grandmother passed away. Her death, the woman who was the only one to ever truly see me as part of the family, crushed me. But she also became the last person to stand by me, in a way no one saw coming. She left me her house, not split 3 ways. Not for the big extended family, but solely to me. Just me. Clearly stated, in writing, signed, witnessed by a lawyer. Now you should know my dad has 2 families. My mom and I were family number 1, or more accurately, the forgotten family. He visited me like he was checking the air conditioner maybe once a season if I was lucky. Family number 2, his new wife, 2 stepkids, and the ones who had been living in my grandma's house. They'd been staying there for 6 years, rent-free. Dad always said Mom agreed to it, but she didn't agree forever. Later I learned she used to call them the long-term guests who never paid the power bill. When she passed, I showed up to the funeral home. They were out eating hot pot and posting RIP Grandma on Instagram stories with incense selfies. The real story began when the will was read. My dad and his self-appointed board of beneficiaries, his wife, 2 kids, 1 vegan aunt, and a judgmental cousin were all there, smugly expecting the keys. The lawyer read aloud, "I leave my house, to my only granddaughter, the one I trust, my name." No fine print, no conditions, no split among the other grandkids if they get along. I didn't say a word, just looked around the room, their faces like opening a gift box and finding toilet paper inside. What followed was elite-level drama. The 2 half-siblings, 16 and 18, cried, "Please, sis, we don't have anywhere to go. I told them I'm not kicking you out. You have 3 months to find a place. You're minors, I get it. I figured they'd use the time wisely. Look for jobs. Apply for housing. Nope. 3 weeks later, I get a TikTok video from my half-sister dancing in the living room with the caption, "Miss you, Grandma. But you'd want me to live my best life, right? Month 2. I get added to a WhatsApp group titled Family Talk. Let's be civil. My aunt messaged, "If you do this, people will think our family has no love." I replied, "That's because we don't, Auntie." Then the whole clan flipped the narrative. City girl wrapped in selfishness, betraying the bloodline, throwing 2 children out on the streets. My dad called me privately, "If you don't let them stay, you're no longer my daughter." I said, "Perfect. Then I don't need to call you Dad anymore." I hired a lawyer, sent a formal notice, "Vacate the property by the 1st of next month. Clear warning. If not, I will change the locks and have your belongings legally moved to the curb." That day came. They still hadn't moved. Still hadn't found a house. Still hadn't found any reason beyond, but we're just kids. And me, I showed up, in a black dress, with a locksmith, and someone filming just in case anyone claimed I got violent. I didn't say a word. I just handed them a copy of the will and a quote from my grandmother. She's the only one who understands the true value of a home. That night I hosted a housewarming. Small. 3 people. Me, my mom, and my lawyer. I posted a photo. The old house, a new dining table, 3 glasses of wine. Caption, "Sometimes all you need is a key and the courage to say no. And if anyone says I was cruel to those kids, I'll remind them I used to be that kid. The one who was abandoned, ignored, taught that her existence didn't matter. And now I'm the only one whose name was called. on a piece of paper, legally binding, and carrying the exact amount of respect I deserved. Story 2. I had to pee in my sink because my brother-in-law hogged the bathroom, and now I'm the insensitive one. I'm 29 years old living alone in a small 2-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment. I love my space. It's small, but it's mine. I work from home, so everything is set up just right. 1 bedroom, 1 office/mini living room, and 1 bathroom, the only one. Everything was fine, until my sister and her husband, or as I now call them, the doorway blockers, decided to fly in from out of state to visit. I adore my sister. Truly. But ever since she married him, Josh, things have gotten weird. This time, they planned to stay for a whole week. I politely cleared out the office, added a folding bed, washed towels, stocked up on food. I even bought the fancy toilet paper to be extra hospitable. Biggest mistake of my life. Day 1. Josh went into the bathroom at 8 a.m. I needed to brush my teeth before a 9 a.m. Zoom meeting. At 8:30, I knocked Josh. "You okay? I really need to brush my teeth." "Just a minute, I'm dealing with something," my sister whispered. "He has some digestive issues, this happens sometimes." I held it in. But in my head, what kind of stomach issue takes 40 minutes writing a memoir in there? Day 2, I woke up at 6 a.m. to go for a jog. Bathroom occupied. Washed my face in the kitchen sink like a 5-star feral animal. Day 3. Things escalated. I got home at 11 p.m. after a late shift, stomach growling. Josh in the bathroom, this time with his laptop. I heard keyboard tapping, then chuckling. The man was watching Netflix in there. I asked Josh, "Are you okay?" "Just relaxing for a bit, don't worry." Relaxing. In someone else's bathroom, I was mad, but I kept it together. Day 4. The day I snapped. I woke up at 4 a.m. with a gut emergency. Not a casual ow my tummy, I mean the kind of urgency where your hardwood floors start to feel like enemies. I ran to the bathroom. Locked. I knocked Josh. "I really need to go. This is urgent. I'm a bit sick, 5 more minutes." 15 minutes later, I banged harder. "Josh, I'm not kidding. This is DEFCON 1. 1 more minute." An hour passed. I was in pain, sweating, desperate. The nearest convenience store didn't open until 6. I Googled frantically. No solution. I did something I'm not proud of, but I do not regret it. I peed in the sink. Yes, I'm a woman. Don't ask me how. I won't explain. But I did it. Out of pure primal survival. The next morning I was in a Zoom meeting. Josh strolled out of the kitchen looking chipper. My sister sat there scrolling through her phone. I took a deep breath, sis. Josh can't stay here anymore. I can't live like this being denied access to the bathroom in my own home. She froze. Are you being insensitive about his condition?" I almost laughed. "You know what I had to do last night? I peed in the sink because he hogged the bathroom for nearly 2 hours. Josh blushed. But instead of apologizing, he said, "You could have held it. Adults have self-control." Oh, beautiful. According to Josh logic, if someone holds you hostage, it's your fault for not dying quietly. I stood up and said, "Sis, I love you. But I can't keep sacrificing my basic human needs for someone who treats my home like his private lounge. You two need to get a hotel, or stay with Aunt May, or pitch a tent. Anywhere but here." My sister cried. Josh looked at me like I'd just murdered his emotional support goldfish. I didn't care anymore. The next day, I changed the Wi-Fi password. Josh texted, "Hey, the Wi-Fi isn't working." I replied, "It's probably got digestive issues." Taking some time to relax in the router. Since then, I've been labeled the cold-hearted one by extended family. My sister texted, "Mom says you've really changed. You've gone cold." I responded, "No, I've just stopped holding in my pee." Lesson learned. Nobody, and I mean nobody, has the right to hijack your bathroom and turn you into a hostage in your own home because of some mysterious condition. If you need that much space, book a hotel. And if you can't respect the most basic rights of another person, don't be surprised when they flush kindness down the sink literally. Story 3. I stopped paying black tax for my family, and now I'm being called whitewashed and ungrateful. I'm a 28-year-old African woman working full-time as a teacher. It's not the most glamorous job, but it pays enough to live. That is, if you're not financially supporting an entire starting lineup of parents, aunties, uncles, and 17 cousins you didn't even grow up with. See, in the culture I come from, there's a concept known as black tax, which basically means if you're the first in your family to earn a stable income, you automatically become the family's interest-free ATM. And yes, I used to accept that. I was raised by a single mom. I know what poverty tastes like. So when I got my first job, I didn't hesitate to send money home, paying school fees for my little brother, buying milk for my niece, even chipping in for my cousin's wedding, and I still don't know the groom's name. But here's the thing, there's a limit. And I didn't just reach it, I was dragged across it. A year ago, I started to feel exhausted. My salary would vanish like magic. $300 for my youngest brother's tuition, the same brother who's dropped out twice to follow his passion. $200 to fix my cousin's car, the same cousin posting club pics every weekend. $150 for my cousin's wedding dress, with the message, "You've got the best taste in the family, sis. Help me pick something chic." Meanwhile, I was eating spicy beef-flavored instant noodles 3 times a day and using a space heater like it was a crime scene barely turned on. The final straw. My mom called one night hesitantly. "Sweetie, Auntie S said her daughter's wedding is coming up. They're short $1,000 for the venue deposit. She wanted to ask, can you help save the celebration?" I laughed. Not because it was funny, but because I realized I was being robbed by people in matching family t-shirts. I said, "Mom, I'm not a money printing machine. I'm a person." I sent out a group message to the entire family. From now on, I'll only help in actual emergencies. Adults need to take responsibility for their own choices. The fallout. My mom sobbed and said I was abandoning tradition. My aunt called me whitewashed and accused me of forgetting my roots. My older brother screamed into the phone, "You wouldn't even have a job if it weren't for the foundation this family gave you." Foundation. Oh, you mean the foundation that made me give up my overseas scholarship so I could pay hospital bills for a relative with a gambling itch. The foundation that kept me renting for 10 years because I never had enough left to save for my own place. The next week, I made a group chat called Support Fund ME. Then I sent this message, "Hi, everyone. After 10 years of contributing, I'm officially shutting down the Bank of Me. If anyone needs money, please ask the same people who called me selfish and whitewashed. Maybe they offer low-interest loans." I attached a spreadsheet, a detailed breakdown of the money I'd sent over the last 5 years. It even included this gem, Auntie S. Ivory wedding dress, $180. Auntie S saw it. Blocked me. My mom didn't speak to me for a week. But eventually, she understood. I told her I'm not abandoning the family. I'm saving myself from drowning. She stayed quiet. For the first time, she didn't ask for a transfer. Last month, I put down a deposit on my first apartment. Just 1 bedroom, small, but no one's asking me for rent money except the landlord. I invited my mom over. She looked around and teared up. "You really did it on your own?" I nodded. "And now I can help when I choose to, not when everyone else decides I owe them. I don't hate my culture. I'm not ashamed of where I came from. But I'm not an ATM with a pulse. And if someone says I'm no longer a real African woman just because I refuse to be financially drained, then sorry, I'm a real person. And I choose to survive, not be consumed. If you're carrying an entire family on your back and no one's asking if you're tired, remember this. Givers must set limits because takers never will." Story 4. I found out my sister was besties with the woman who destroyed my marriage. So I destroyed her financial plan. I'm 43. I used to think I had the dream life. A loving husband, a 4-year-old son, a stable career, a tight-knit group of college friends, and a warm, supportive little sister. That was before I found out my husband was the kind of man who gets emotional with a coworker nearly 20 years younger than me. Her young, cute, eyes sparkly like a TikTok cat meme. And she knew who I was, knew I was his wife, knew we had a kid, knew we had mutual friends, and she still threw herself at him like she was auditioning for some low-budget romance drama. And my husband. When I confronted him, all he said was, "I'm sorry. I didn't want to love her. I tried, but I couldn't fight my heart." Oh, your heart, huh? Why not just admit your heart lives in your pants? We got divorced. Fast. Clean. No pity. I didn't ask for anything but custody of our son. Thankfully, he didn't fight it. It's like he couldn't wait for me to disappear so he could launch season 2 with his new love interest. The worst part. Our old friend's silent, didn't pick a side. His family threw a freaking wedding for the destined couple. And me, I lost everything. Trust. Friends. 10 years of youth wasted on a man now calling his new wife a beautiful accident of fate on Instagram. But I stood back up. I went to therapy. I rebuilt. I raised my son to be kind, respectful, and never ever the kind of man his dad turned out to be. Now here's where it gets good. Last week, my sister, 28, left her phone at my house. I picked it up to call her, and a message popped up from Emily. Emily. Yes, that Emily. The sweet young co-worker who slept with my husband. I opened the messages. What I saw. My sister wasn't just still in touch. She was best friends with Emily. They had coffee dates, spa trips. They even swapped pictures of their kids, and there was a photo of my son taken on vacation with his dad. I waited until my sister came back. I asked. She smirked and said, "Sis, that was years ago. I still like my ex-brother-in-law. And Emily's a good person. You should really let it go. Let it go." I smiled and said, "Maybe you let go of your principles, but I don't." I cut her off that day, blocked her number, deleted her on every app. And oh right, I also disconnected our linked bank account. Wait, what's that? Oh yeah, I forgot to mention I was paying off her student loans, part of her university tuition, some short-term study abroad fees, and most recently I promised to help her buy a car to make her commute easier. Well, if you're busy commuting to brunch with a homewrecker, maybe you don't need that car, huh? The next day she called. "What did you do?" "I'm going to miss my loan payments," I replied. "Ask Emily. Or your ex-brother-in-law. Maybe they'll spot you." A few days later, my parents called. They said I was being petty, selfish, cold, that I was abandoning family. I told them, if family means I pay while she betrays me, then no thanks. I'm not investing in that kind of bond anymore. Here's how it ended. I lost a sister. But honestly, I'm not sure I ever really had her. Now I've got a few $100 extra every month. To put my son in swim class. To take him out for sushi on weekends. And most importantly, to stop pretending the pain didn't happen. And if anyone dares ask me, "Don't you think that was a bit harsh?" I'll say this. If I wasn't harsh, they would have built a ladder on my back and installed a streetlight on top. Don't let anyone guilt trip you for choosing yourself after they chose betrayal. Blood doesn't give anyone a free pass to stomp on your trust. Story 5. They called me a surrogate. 20 years later, I call them no one. I used to have a family, a marriage I thought would last forever. 2 kids, 1 boy, 1 girl, a house, a promise. And then, he bought a truck. A massive pickup truck as big as his ego. He didn't ask me, didn't discuss, just quietly signed a loan agreement and drove home his 4-wheeled dream. I was angry. Not just about the money, okay, partly the money, but because he put our entire family at risk. All I wanted was for him to sell it, pay off the debt, and put our children first. You know what he said? A real wife supports her husband's dreams. You're just here to kill mine. Dreams, huh? Then I stepped out of that dream. We divorced. 2 years later, he remarried a younger, flashier woman, and boy, did she love to perform. I used to think evil stepmother was just a fairy tale. Turns out some women try to steal the title of mom in real life. She called herself mommy in front of my kids. She posted photos with captions like, "My son loves mommy the most with my child, the one I carried, birthed, and raised." The worst part, she once said to my face, and no, my kids weren't even there, "I'm the real mom now. You're just the woman who gave birth." Oh, is that so? I said nothing. Not because I was weak, but because I knew something she didn't. Time punches harder than words. And it did. As the kids grew up, they saw it all. They saw their dad losing his temper over nonsense. They saw the stepmom micromanaging every dollar, every shirt they wore. They saw me every time I picked them up simply asking, "Did you eat?" By the time my son was 15, he told me, "Mom, I want to live with you. Permanently." I didn't cry. I just nodded and filed the court papers. Eventually, both my children requested full-time custody with me. And guess what? They got it. From that point on, they slowly disconnected from their father and stepmother. A few polite calls, a few mandatory holiday visits. But emotionally, they'd checked out long ago. 20 years after the divorce, I was having dinner with friends at a newly opened restaurant. Guess who walked in? My ex-husband and the leading lady. They came up to me angry, awkward, and somehow desperate. The first thing out of their mouths, "Why did you turn the kids against us?" I laughed and said I didn't have to. You destroyed what you had. And she thought a title could create love. Then I dropped the line. "I know they'll never forget you once called me unimportant. But look around. The only one no one calls mom is you." And I walked away. Behind me stood 2 statues. In front of me, 2 children. One a software engineer, the other a med student, waiting for me to join them for my birthday dinner. You know what the best part is? I didn't need to win. They lost all on their own. Lesson learned. Never think you can pretend to be a mother by signing a marriage certificate. Love isn't something you claim. It's built day by day, hug by hug, forehead kiss, by bedtime, forehead kiss. And me, I don't need anyone to declare I'm important. Because I have 2 people who call me mom with their whole hearts. Story 6. I saved my best friend's girlfriend from getting fired, and she thanked me by ruining my reputation at work. I didn't like my best friend's girlfriend. Okay, maybe that sounds harsh. But honestly, if she wasn't dating Jeremy, I probably wouldn't even remember her last name. We were the kind of nod politely at the BBQ acquaintances, not actual friends. Here's the thing, I was the one who got her into my company. I helped her get past the resume filters, put in a few good words with HR, even gave her tips on how to not get cut before week 3. It all seemed fine, until the true test of office behavior kicked in. She was good at her job. I'll give her that. But she had a very specific skill, making everyone uncomfortable while still managing to feel like she was the victim, arguing with the boss, snapping at coworkers, constantly offering that, well, actually, feedback like she was handing out blessings. She didn't sabotage anything, but she drained the energy from the room. Then came the day I got pulled into a meeting with management. She's not a culture fit. We're thinking of letting her go. Bam! I knew what that meant. If she got fired now, still within her 90-day probation period, she'd be gone instantly. No severance, no notice, no second chances, and Jeremy. He was unemployed. They were barely making rent on their 2-bedroom place. If she lost her job, their life would fall apart like a wet paper bag. So I did something stupidly noble. I offered to move her to my team. I didn't tell her I was saving her career. I just played it off as, hey, my team's short-staffed. I think you'd be a better fit here. She lit up like she won the lottery. And me, Captain Save-A-Mess, thought I did the right thing. Spoiler alert, I was wrong. She didn't improve. In fact, thinking she was handpicked, she got worse. More confrontational with co-workers, more passive-aggressive with my manager. even started trash-talking her previous team during lunch. Eventually, she got fired, and this time, it wasn't a quiet exit. No, it was a full-on banned from rehire kind of firing. Her file marked negatively impacted company culture. She lost it. Called me screaming, "Why didn't you warn me? If I knew I was about to get fired, I would have acted differently," I replied. If you need the threat of losing your job to treat people decently, maybe the problem isn't the lack of warning. I told Jeremy everything. He's still my best friend. He sighed and said, "I get it. But now she thinks you're the one who ruined everything." Awesome. I save her from getting fired and I still end up the bad guy. Some people on my old team even asked me, "Why didn't you just let her go in the first place?" I don't blame them. I've been asking myself the same thing. Moral of the story: don't save people without giving them the full picture. Good intentions aren't enough, how you help matters. And most importantly, don't let your kindness become a certificate of stupidity. Because sometimes, the person you save ends up being the one who puts your name on the blacklist. If you've ever been taken advantage of, misjudged, or called selfish just for choosing yourself, you're not alone. This is where we tell those stories with honesty, with a little sarcasm, and with a whole lot of sweet, sweet karma. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on the notification bell. And if you have a story that makes you feel angry but proud every time you tell it, drop it in the comments. You just might be the main character in our next video.